Welcome back to Day and Night Quilts and more magic. Well, the last time we did some hocus pocus with our 4 strip sets, and this is the finished quilt. Oh, it's dynamic in highly contrasting fabrics of day white, night black, and accent in red. Well, the centers match perfectly and they are all very flat. Oh, and they're the cute little merry-go-rounds that are formed when the blocks from 4 strips are sent together. Well, I sent the top out to Amy Potter, and presto, she long-arm quilted large open feathers throughout the quilt. The contrasting thread really shows the design on the back. The quilting is even better from the wrong side. Well, if choosing 3 fabrics is not your bag of tricks, how about using just 2 fabrics? Stick with contrast and you'll get one as striking looking as this one. Well, the light day fabric is modeled, so you get a variety of colors and the same value from the same piece of fabric. The merry-go-round is a little softer, but it's still there. The quilting 1/4 of an inch from the seams is simple but elegant. And in the borders, it looks like ribbon candy quilted there. Well, Michelle Countess pieced this top and Judy Jackson quilted it. Michelle repeated the day fabric on the back, and the quilting stands out great. Well, my sister Patty made this beautiful green and beige quilt. I just love it. Now, there's only 2 fabrics in it, 4 strips, with a touch of purple in that beige. Well, she pulled the purple out with the little framing border and then again repeated in the binding. It's just beautiful. It's so soft. Very interesting. Well, the day fabric in the medium pink has a romantic texture to it, while the dark night pink reads solid from a distance. The white accent fabric adds sparkle, and all 3 of the fabrics just look great together. Teresa Varnes pieced the top and quilted 1/4 of an inch from the blocks, and then she did continuous straight line quilting in the first border and a cable in the wide second border. Ooh, I love the fabrics are just bright and cheery. Well, when you're cutting strips into triangles, nothing is thrown away. From 6 day and night blocks, Teresa made 2 more projects from the cutaways. Well, this is the little mini star quilt, and this is the spider web. Both were saved from the landfill. You know, they're cute to hang in corners or on long, narrow wall spaces. Well, you can see how the accent fabric perks this one up. Sue Bouchard made this crib quilt in rich brown and soft blue fabrics with an even lighter blue for the accent fabric. You know, the accent fabric just tends to glow in this quilt. Sue named it Daybreak. I think that's perfect. Well, the accent fabric is just sharp in this one. My sister Patty made it. She loves these colors. There's only 2 fabrics, 4 strips in the blocks, but there's a touch of purple in that night fabric. She pulled that purple out in the border and then again in the binding. She just has that touch. It's just beautiful. Well, this quilt calls for batiks, and Gail Yakos put them together beautifully. It's 2 fabrics, 3 strips, but the fabrics are just so interesting. It is a beautiful quilt. Gail quilted it in an overall pattern on the blocks, and then she free motion loops in the border, and to make it cozy, she used Minky on the back. Well, from her cutaways, Gail made a mini star quilt, very cute, and then she made a spider web, and she uses these both for table toppers. Well, my sister Patty wanted to play around with black and white scraps, and when she was finished, the blocks didn't look good next to each other. So she designed a new layout by framing each block with black and then separating them with lattice. I just love the stripe. She cut it on the bias for the binding. A little creativity, and she saved the blocks. Well, there's no smoke and mirrors. The technique is as easy as pulling these flowers out of my sleeve. join me. And let's see what else I have up my sleeve. The mini star quilt is so charming that some would like to just start out with this one. But actually, you have to make the day and night blocks first because this block is made from all of the cutaways, all of the leftovers. Now, the very first piece that you trim looks like this. The salvage edge is still on it. So once you cut several more pieces, this is the actual pattern you want to follow. So just take this piece and lay it on top. Use a ruler and just trim off that salvage edge with your ruler and your rotary cutter. So all of the pieces are identical now. You'll know them when you see them. Now, to make this, you need to have 4 from the left strip and 4 from the right strip. Just lay them out. They kind of look like birds flying. So take the piece on the right, flip it to the left, and these seams lock together right here. So just line them up, squeeze them together, and match at the top and the bottom. Now, they may not be exactly the same size, but doesn't matter. They are going to be oversized and trimmed up as soon as we get them together. Just lock those seams and just sew from one to the end. Now, you have to make 4 of these. Look just like this. Let's pull it out there. And I'll show you how it looks. Okay, matched up, kind of flying in the air. I have 3 more to do, but I just think I'll perform some magic. I have a magic pouch. Empty now. You can see not a thing in there. Going to take these unsewed pieces in there. Abracadabra. Oh, I like to sew like this. And look what I get to pull out. They're like the birds, sewn together. Working good. Now, these pieces need to be pressed. Drop them on the pressing mat with the accent color on the top. And if you just get them all lined up, you'll see that they're all 4 identical. Set the seams. Just go right down there, opening the top piece, the accent piece, and just press right into that seam. Lay them back, and much better whenever they're pressed nice and flat. Good. Okay, whoops. Back to the iron, a little bit crooked. Just won't help whenever you have crooked pieces. So now once they're all pressed, seams behind the accent, just take this tip at the end and trim them all off. You can actually just trim them and cut them apart at the same time, down straight. And this one, I still didn't press it very good. Wow. Okay, now take these pieces and lay them out, all with those long triangles in the middle. Take 4 of them. You know, from every large day and night block that you can make 1 mini star. So now once you have them laid out, then all you're going to do is flip them right sides together, lock those seams in the middle, sew straight down, and then open them up, and then you'll go back across the opposite way. Well, I already sewed 1 together, and this is what it looks like this when it's all sewn. No inset seams in here, matched in the center, and I pushed the top seam up and the underneath seam down just like I did on the block so that you can lay these flat and swirl those seams right around the center and press it good. This is how you want it to look on the back side. Done that technique before. But now we take this block and square it up to 5 1/4 inches. So I'm just going to fold these together like this, line up the seams underneath, and you can use your square up ruler, your 6 1/2 inch square up ruler, or your 6 1/2 inch triangle square up ruler. Just find the 5 1/4 inch line on your ruler. Go to the 5 and go down 1/4 inch on both sides and put that 5 1/4 inch line right on the stitching lines. There's 5 1/4 inch there, 5 1/4 inch there. Diagonal line on top of the seam right up through. And all of this, that is extra, just gets cut off and trimmed away. Well, I know This block is red, white, and black, but it's actually green too. So that's the little block. It's approximately 5 1/4 inches square. These pieces, get rid of them. Now you can set it together like this with all of those pieces in a row, or you can go ahead and just make 5 blocks and lay out a matching size square like this. Put one in the a block in the very center and in the corners. Let's see. Ooh, it's looking good. Sew that together, and then these are the borders. This is the first border, a narrow second border, and then a wider third border. Sew it together, and you have a great mini star quilt. This is the second project from the cutaways, the Spiderweb Block. Oh, I'm so conscious of the environment. No throwing scraps away. Well, my block, day and night, was made with 4 strips. So these are the cutaways. It's day and night in a piece of candy corn here, and then it's night and accent. Those 2 colors go together. And then in the corners, I put the night on all 4 corners on all blocks. So this is the effect that you get. Well, there's so many different ways that you can play with your blocks. On this one, there were only 3 strips, 2 different colors, not quite as many strips in it. You only have the bold color of the night and then the day. And on the corners, first the night was sewn onto the day here, and then on the next one, the day was sewn onto the night. And so you can distinctly see the 2 blocks. Great looking. And the quilting is even more fun, just inside of all of those wedges. Well, one morning, I got up at 5 o'clock, and I had my cutaways from the quilt above the mantle. And I said, I have to get this quilt done before I go to work. Well, I have 6 spiderweb blocks, but I enlarged the whole quilt by putting this lattice and cornerstone in between each one of the blocks. And then the quilting just set the whole thing off. Amy quilted it for me, and you can actually see the quilting pattern really well from the back side. She did this free motion motif right in the very center, and then outlined the edges, and then even in the border she did these cute leaves. That's what you get when you use a different color of a thread than your backing. Just very cute. Well, to make this block, we're going to use the Kaleidoscope Ruler. And this is the Kaleidoscope Ruler marked at 5 1/4 inches. We already squared up that mini star at 5 1/4. So to put those all together, this is also 5 1/4. To make one block, you need 4 from the left strip and 4 from the right strip. So just take your ruler and line up the bottom line at 5 1/4 right across the bottom. Shift this around so that you can completely cover the fabric. And it's just such an odd shape that we're going to just trim away on 2 sides. And these pieces I am getting rid of. Oh my goodness, I'm not going to save these around. Okay, that's one stack all ready to go. Layer cutting makes it so much fun. So put the 5 1/4 right in the end and hold that ruler down tight and trim away. This is just such a great old traditional block that you see this in even the antique quilts. It's fun to do. Now take and lay them out in pairs like this. And believe it or not, I find it the easiest if I start right up at the tip and sew towards the end. So just flip it right sides together, pick up your pair, line it up right at the tip, and also right here, because these seams are going to lock together. Okay, it's looking good. Get it lined up, foot down, needle down, pedal. Hold it on to it. You might want to have a little jumper scrap to get it started. Well, there's 4 pairs that you want to make, so just keep on assembly line sewing them one after the other. You know, I have been doing this magic show for nearly a year now. Now, don't get worried. I'm not going to give up my day job, but it's been a lot of fun. Because I take a long needle, I mean a very long needle, about this long, and I run it through a balloon. Now you blow the balloon up very big, and the idea is to get the needle right in the right spot, run it through and out the other side without breaking the balloon. I've done it successfully a couple of times, but people just sit on their seats. They're just ready to jump out of their seats because they know the balloon is going to break. And sometimes it does, but it's great fun. And if you even tie a ribbon to the end of the needle, you can pull that ribbon out the other side and tie it on the end. Too much fun. Okay, this is the last pair I'm going to run through right here. And once you have those pairs all through, just cut them and press the seams towards the dark. Okay, all you want to do is just take them, turn them over like this, open, press towards the dark. And then take 4 pairs and sew them together into halves. This is what it looks like. And this is the best part. Whenever you sew 2 pairs together, this is what your seam should look like at the top. And at this point, take those 2 pairs, flip them right sides together, push the top seam up and the underneath seam down. And you can actually see that V that you're going to stitch through. And you make a whole complete circle. We'll then take that circle and you're going to take 3.5-inch squares, cut them on one diagonal, and sew them right sides together to each corner. And then to make sure they're all going to fit together, square them up to 9 or 9 1/8 inches. And you're going to have wonderful spiderweb blocks. I'm just going to lay them out for you. And that's the magical part of it. If you think that you can't create magic with a day and night quilt, how about a 4-block table runner? It's so easy that you can get this one done in a day. Very fast. Beautiful sun for the day, dark night for the sky, and then the accent color running through. The quilting is even easier. All you have to do is 1/4 inch away from the seams in the star points, and then a triangular shape of feathers out here in this area. And just finish it off with feathers in the border. You know, even with this size quilt, there's cutaways you're gonna love. The bonus table runner. This is just left over from 4 blocks. Nice and long, 5 spiderweb blocks, and then there's 4 blocks that you utilize the mini star. You actually have to set some solid squares with it, but all 5 blocks in a row. The quilting is a lot of fun because that solid square allows you to do some free motion quilting in those squares. You can do it in all of them, and then just do some easy old orange peels in the spider web. Looks good. How about a little spider web in the border as well? Well, we're back into black. So this one is even more exciting with the addition of the rickrack framing those 5 blocks. Great. Very contrasting. Love it. So let's just start out with the mini star. Whatever size your mini star finishes at, then cut 2 solid squares to sew the block together. You have to make 2 blocks just like this, and you can even get that little swirling technique right in the center so that it lays very flat in this area. Well, to make this block the right size, you need to take 1 1/4 inch strips and sew them to both sides. Let me just line that up here and here. And I actually just like to sew it down with the blocks on the top because I like to make sure I'm pressing those seams exactly as they were originally pressed. So it's a 1 1/4 inch strip. Strap your presser foot, hold on, and at this point, cut your strip the same size as the block and hold these seams flat so you can just stitch right over them. You're going to sew down on one side and then just turn it around and sew it on the opposite side. Well, this table runner I think needs to be about twice the size to fit on my dining room table. I can easily sit around 18, 19 people. When we have the quilt group come together and their husbands come too, we need every chair that we can possibly get. So I'm just going to make a couple more blocks and make mine even longer. It's great. Okay, now just take these seams and press the seams flat right along here and here, and open and press them towards the border. Okay, we've got the one block done. And then the spiderweb block is framed exactly the same on two sides. Trim them even with the block and add borders on the remaining two sides. And these two blocks together should be just about the same size. Boy, that's what you're hoping for. So let's just take and start and lay out the spiderweb block. It's going to go right up here like this. This is the mini star block with the framing borders just on two sides. Let's slide this down. This spiderweb block is actually the opposite of the first and the third. This one has red on the corners. These have black on the corners, so you can just spin it around. Fit this one up and this one. That's the 5 in a row. So sew the seams together right through here, and for a little extra punch, once those seams are all sewn together, you need 2 packages of very wide rickrack, and all you're going to do is put the rickrack around the outside edge and just sew right down through the middle like this. Once the rickrack is on, then your borders come next, and you're just going to add them to the 2 long sides, fold them out and trim them, and then do the top and the bottom. And then machine quilt it. You'll have a great accent for your dining table. Believe it or not, the pattern Day and Night is not new. Well, the block was originally published by Old Chelsea Station Needlecraft Service, a mail-order company that was begun in 1933. The designers were Alice Brooks and Laura Wheeler. You know, actually, they were pen names for 2 fictitious ladies. This is the way the pattern looked in 1933. And these templates were used to make the block. Can you imagine? Well, we simplified the block by putting a seam right down through the middle. Well, with these templates, it's not as magical as the way we make our blocks. Now, this quilt was made in 1940s, and it reminds me of the Day and Night pattern with 3 pieces in each triangle. Well, this piece is not quite on the same angle, so a pinwheel with straight lines is formed in the middle of each block. You know, it's a great scrappy quilt with lots of pizzazz and the red polka dots, the red stripes, and the red checks. It's quilted 1/4 inch from the seams. It's just beautiful, very patriotic looking. Well, when you're ready to quilt your top, here's another suggestion. My cousin Carol Ann Slepik echo quilted rounds in a spider web effect, and then the star center is stitched in the ditch, followed by a round of feathers in the star points. You know, this top is beautiful in just 2 fabrics with 4 stripes, but the quilting enhances its beauty even more. And oh, from the back side, the quilting is wonderful. Well, from 2 fabrics to 3 fabrics in similar colors. The pink accent fabric sure perks up this one. To bring the accent out, Teresa repeated the accent fabric in the first border. Well, from these 12 Day and Night blocks, she used the cutaways to make a 9-block spider web. Well, when you squint at the quilt, you see a lot of circular motion. It's just a kaleidoscope effect. Well, the fabric sewn to the corners make the 2 different blocks. You know, it's actually a pretty good sized quilt. Well, for fun, Teresa took the last little spider web and turned it into a hot pad. Just wonderful. She didn't waste a thing. And then the little 12-block mini star, very charming. Great for a baby, huh? Little baby quilt. Well, Sue did a creative thing with her mini star blocks. She took her 3 stars and put them in the corners of her quilt. Well, these 2 borders are cut exactly the same size as the blocks, so everything fits together. And that day fabric has great texture with abstract flowers floating about. You know, the possibilities are endless. Just start out with a 6-block crib. You can just zip it up in a day. But don't throw away those scraps, because you can make an adorable little mini star quilt and a swirling, twirling spider web. You know, but don't stop there. You can sew those strips for a long 4-block table runner. And before day goes into night, just stitch up all of the leftover pieces for a bonus table runner. So try some hocus pocus with strips, and you will discover the magic of day and night.